before I forget. And then pull back up my little tabs here. I'll try to keep the chat off to the side so I can see what you ladies are talking about. Carrie, hello, hello. Okay. All right, here we go. So tonight, I'm Miranda Edney, everyone. Welcome to Live with Prima. Tonight, we're going to be recreating this little plaque here. This is one of the Carte Blanche wooden plaques. Let me see what the back of this one looks like. Ideally, I think the idea was to do the, the front of them, but they have this jute kind of rope hanging part on the back, and I just pulled that out with my my pliers. I am tongue twisted. It's been a long day, y'all. So that's what I did, and I just used the back of it so I could kind of make a little shadow box. And when I made this, we had an assignment for the regular DT to use the Bloom Girl stamps in a non-traditional way. So I'm not big on like the images of the faces, just because they're wonderful and Jamie does an amazing job on them, and I love seeing everybody else's work with them, but I just can't make anything good happen with them. They just don't work for me. So I tried to use them in non-traditional ways. I stamped them on acetate, which is a subtle, really subtle effect. And of course you've got the glare when you're dealing with acetate, but hopefully y'all can see all the blooms in there. So there is some fussy cutting. Those of you who don't like fussy cutting, just use your regular Prima flowers, but we did a ton of techniques on this one, okay? So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to pull up the announcements really quickly before I forget, because it has been a long day. Okay, the next show coming up, and it was on the blog today as well, is by Rachel Black, and she is Rachel0113, I think, on YouTube. She is just amazing. So she is going to be doing a mixed media canvas using the Art Alchemy paints. It's really cool. Like I said, it's on the blog today, so go check that out. And then the next art venture coming up, I will actually be teaching at. I know I've shared it on my Facebook page and went on and on. Everybody's probably like, please be quiet, Miranda, but I'm so excited about it. And I did want to say, everybody requested that we do altered pigs, and we're trying to make that happen. So I got permission to kind of show, I've already shown this one, but hopefully we'll be doing little altered pigs, either like this one or a little bit bigger, kind of like this one right here. So we're really trying to make the pigs happen. If they don't kill me, y'all, but I'll be there either way, and hopefully I can come up with something that everyone will love. So that is coming up in January. You can click on the Art Venture tab, or go to the information page, or you can also email Denny for more information, and his email is denny@primamarketinginc.com. And also, this is pretty big, Prima has big plans this fall, so make sure to follow My Prima Planner on Instagram. So they have a new Instagram, and that kind of gives a big peek away right there. But it's called My Prima Planner on Instagram, and you guys are in store for something really amazing. So those are the announcements for tonight. Let me set my iPad away and see if there's any questions so far. My dog might bark a little bit because he's here with me and he's waiting on his grandpa to come and get him. So if you hear him, I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, let's see. The Art Venture link's up, looking good. Okay, so I went ahead and did a lot of prep work ahead of time, because there were so many techniques here that this was going to be so long drying it that I just went ahead and worked ahead, okay? So if you guys want me to, I grabbed a scrap plaque so that I could show you the steps if you need me to. Let me grab the other one that's drying over here really quickly. Okay, and because there were so many wet mediums and modeling paste and Crackle mediums, I went ahead and prepped it, okay? So this is what it looks like when it's prepped, and I'm going to tell you every step, and I'll kind of show you on this canvas just to get you caught up so you know exactly what I did. So this is what it's going to look like when it's blank, okay? But I had to work ahead of time because it just would have taken way too long, okay? So I'm going to set this one to the side really quickly, and I'm going to show you how I achieved that effect. This is a little bit smaller edge, but it's the same idea. I'm using one of the really old Prima stencils, but it's like a favorite one of mine. And this was before I cut it down really far. You know, they have these long edges, but I needed it to fit in a project one time, so I cut it down really far. So I cut off the SKU number. So it's a really, really older one. I think you can still get it, but I don't have the item number, and I'm so sorry, y'all. But it's just that damask stamp. It was really popular a few years back, and as you can see, mine is very well loved. So all that I did to start with was I took light paste, which is item number 961404, and I mainly mixed it with the white sand texture paste. So it was more parts white sand than it was the light paste, but I did mix a little bit of that in there too. So the white sand texture paste is item number 961473, and this stuff is amazing. So what I did is I just went around my edges. I'm not going to do it because you guys know how to do that. I just went around with my mediums all the way around my edges, and then I just kind of sat it down in there a little bit and scraped some of it in there. Okay, so just like you were using modeling paste, no big deal, okay? So I'm going to sit that to the side, and then after that was dry, I went in with some of the white Crackle medium texture paste from the Art Extravagance line by Finnabair, and the item number for this is 961503. And I just took it, I always just do this very randomly, just kind of on the edges, and mainly I concentrated on this inside lip right here. And don't worry, I'm doing the back of this plaque, so I'm not ruining it right now. But I mainly just wanted texture there, so I just kind of spread it like that all the way around my piece here, okay? And then this is what it looks like when you're done with that, okay? So I also did my sides too, which you have to do like 2 sides and then let them dry, and then set them down to do the other 2 sides. So like I said, it would have taken forever to do all that on the show. I would have been drying for ages. So I went ahead and skipped that and did it ahead of time, and I really hope y'all don't mind, but it saved a ton of time. Okay, and I didn't have any extra plaques, or I would have just done like step outs. So then I took just an old paintbrush. This one was like literally stiff. It was so like painted up. But these are like 50 cents, 29 cents, something like that. Super, super inexpensive. I try to use the ones that I've already used, so I'm, recycling it, but they're really inexpensive. And I just did the same thing. I just spread some Crackle paste on there, and that was it. Just some random Crackle paste all the way around there. Hopefully the Crackle's showing up on there. So that's where we're at, y'all. And if you're wondering why there's this discoloration, this was my last plaque. I thought I had extras, but apparently I have been using a lot of them. So I had done this Crackle paint job on the back of here, which I'll be showing on another show very soon. It's like a multicolored Crackle, so that's why you're seeing like these colors on the back, okay? So that's where we're at. Before I go on, let me see if there's any questions on this process. I know it seems like we hopped in and all of a sudden this is dry, but I just stenciled on there and glued my paintbrush in place and added some Crackle paint, okay? Because that takes so long to dry, and we already have so many other things that are going to dry. I ruin brushes constantly. I am so bad about it. Awful, awful, awful. Yeah, the brush is kind of hidden here. It was supposed to be the focal point, but it ended up kind of getting covered. But yeah, there's definitely a brush in there, okay? So this is before color, and this is after with the embellishments, okay? So I wrote a little list down here so I could make sure I was doing this in the right order. Let's see here. Yep, we're gonna go ahead and start with our wet mediums and get this colored, and then we're gonna set it to the side and work on a couple other things. What I do with my paintbrushes is I stick them in a jar with washing liquid in it, and I just plop them in there, and I leave them in there for forever. So I have them literally falling apart. You can see how like it's coming off, the labels and stuff are coming off. I just totally neglect them, and I love these Finnabair paintbrushes, so it's totally awful of me, but that's just what I do. Okay, let me move my mouse really quickly. Okay. and we are going to go ahead and start on the wet mediums. Now I'm going to use quite a few of these, and if Carrie approves it, I wanted to add in a couple of the new Color Bloom 2 sprays because they're very similar to the colors we're using. So I pulled 2 or 3 of those out, and if she says yes, I will. If not, we're going to stick to the normal ones. But these are just so fun, and these are the new ones with the new nozzle, so you can see the difference here in case you couldn't tell on the blog. They're just smaller and have a smaller nozzle. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with though is the chalkboard paint, which I love this egg blue chalkboard paint by Prima. This is just one of my favorite. Thank you, Carrie. Awesome. I was hoping you would say yes. Okay, the item number for this egg blue chalkboard paint is 577216. So that's going to be the first thing we use. And I opened this ahead of time, but it always is kind of hard for me to open. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a spray bottle nearby, and let's see here. I don't want to get that one wet, so I'm going to move it to the side for just a second. Hopefully y'all can still see it. Okay, and I'm going to take one of my paint brushes, and I'm just going to dip it. You can see how much I've used. Like, I love this color. So I'm just dipping it in there, and there is no rhyme or reason to this. I am literally just like dabbing it on here, kind of letting it seep down into the corners too. Just randomly, just dabbing it all the way around, not being nice and neat at all. I tend to focus on my edges because I'm gonna spray it with water, and that will let it kind of run down. So once you hit it with water, it will start to spread around a little bit more, and you'll start to see all of that beautiful texture and the damask pattern pulling out. So I'm just going to go around randomly with this, because this is the only paint, well, we use the Art Alchemy paints, but they're such a different consistency. I don't necessarily consider them a paint. And I just kind of randomly go in there, blot up some of the excess areas. I just kind of want a random pattern of this paint. Hopefully that's showing up. So I'm just going to keep going around, and I'm also going to go ahead and hit my paintbrush too while I'm at it. So that way it can just all be drying at the same time. I like to like kind of glob it on the edges there like that, and then spray downward. That's just kind of what I do. It makes a big mess, but I like the way it looks. So that's usually what I do when I'm using paint like this. So I just use it like that and spray it. And it'll start to collect down there, and that's okay. I have a towel here to kind of absorb all that excess water. And you can let it run all the way around, okay? So I'm going to keep doing this until I get the look that I want with the blue. We're going to use some of the Color Bloom sprays and some of the Patina Metallique, however you want to pronounce it, paint as well. So this is just one of the colors we're going to use. And I'm going to try to cover up where that paint from the front is kind of showing, because I don't want that to be on there. And just make sure to get your sides too and not neglect them. I'm really bad about that sometimes. I forget to do my sides. Okay, so I'm just going all the way around and just randomly painting and spraying it with water. Let me check the chat, make sure everything is clear. Yeah, the new Color Bloom 2s are limited edition, so grab them, y'all. Not to be a traitor to the original Color Blooms, because they are amazing, but I have to say I'm favoring this second edition a lot. They spray differently. I don't know. Maybe Carrie understands what I'm talking about. They're just a little different. I don't know. They have a little different spray to them, and it's really easy to get artsy effects with them, I find more so. The other ones do that too, where you can just kind of barely spritz and it splatters, but I think these ones are better about it. I don't know. And I like the little nozzle better. I prefer the smaller nozzle. So I really like them. And they're kind of two-toned. I don't know. They're really cool. Alright, so that is it for the paint. I'm just going to kind of let it move around. Okay, so this is what we've got so far, and it's nice and wet, which is fine with me, because we're going to go in with our other sprays, and that will kind of move around too. Okay, so you can see I did no rhyme, no reason, just randomly adding this on here. And I was almost panicking when I was prepping for my show today when I couldn't find one of these panels, because I swear at one point I had like 20 of them in a bin, and this was the only one left, and I was like, oh my goodness. So sorry that it's got, you know, that on the back of it, and I hate to waste it because I had a whole project planned out for that, but it's pretty easy to fix. Okay, so now we're going to go in with some of our color blooms. I'll go in with one of the new ones just for fun, just to show y'all. They come with a little safety thing too, so that they don't spray accidentally, so that just snaps on there. This one is called Golden Walnut, and you can kind of get an idea of the color by that. And I'm just going to shake it up. It comes with a little metal ball in there. That is one thing I have to say that is amazing about the Prima sprays, is that they do have that metal ball, because that is so important to me. I really need something to help me shake them up, so you can hear that. And I like to kind of roll into my hands too. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to randomly spray. And I don't know if y'all can tell, but it's like a smaller area. It's just a little bit smaller than the regular color blooms. I don't know, just a little bit. You know, not much of a difference, but a little bit. And I'm going to get a paper towel, because this color is darker than the one I used on the other one. So I'm going to put the Empress Gold on top of it, but I just had to use it. I wanted to be able to break out something new to share with y'all. So it's just a beautiful color. I'll go ahead and get like a really, see how it just does like these artsy splatters really easy? Did y'all see that? It's just super, super simple to do. I think that is why I love it. Thank you. Buster! Hold on one second, y'all. Grandpa's here to get the dog. Buster, go get Daddy. Go. Look, call him. There he goes. It took him a minute. Buster does not like to sit here when I'm crafting. He wants to be somewhere else. And he's all of like 8 pounds, and you heard him bark like that, like he's really tough. He's not. So I'm going to show you that spray one more time. This is so easy to get these artsy effects. You just do that, like, and it does these really cool splatters, and I love it. I am in love with it. These are my favorite. I'm going to grab as many as I can before they're gone, because they are limited edition. So these sprays are amazing, especially for those of you who like to do splatters. They are perfect for that. So that's why I love them so much, is for that reason. Okay, so I went in with that one. Now I'm going to go back in with the Empress Gold, because that was the one I used. I also used some alcohol ink, but I ran out of that color, because I swear I use the same color alcohol ink in every show. So I said I'm not going to do that this show. I'm going to use just the color blooms. For once, Miranda, don't use alcohol ink. It's so hard for me. Alright, so I'm going to just kind of spritz that all over. And I'm hoping it'll mix with that other color and be just the right color I wanted. And this is just a base layer. Once we add all of our embellishments, we're going to go in with our alchemy paints and really fine detail what we want it to look like. So this is just making sure we have a nice base to start with. Okay, I'm going to use the, let's see, Glistening Waves Color Bloom Spray and the Soft Till one as well. Love my color bloom sprays. The Soft Till is my favorite one by far. Yeah, they do have a binding agent, or a fixative spray that you're supposed to use on top of them. I know some of the girls said they had a real problem with some, I don't think it was everything, but some of the stuff it wasn't sticking to without adding the fixative spray on top. But it just comes, and I'll show you in a minute, it's just a clear little bottle of spray, and you just spray it on top of your project. Okay, so that's the Soft Till in there. And I'm just kind of dabbing it in different areas, because I don't want it to be, you know, too dark. Was that Glistening Waves or Soft Till? I don't remember. I think it was Glistening Waves. They're pretty much the same. I do really like the new nozzles. they're just, I don't know, I like them better. It's easier for me to get an artsy effect. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because some of these are starting to kind of muddle together and I don't want that. So we're gonna set this to the side to dry, and then we're gonna work on some other things, and we'll come back in with our Metallique paints and use a paintbrush in the Color Bloom sprays to kind of get a better effect. So that's just giving us a nice base with a little bit of color on there. Let me add a little bit more of one of the new ones really quickly. This one's called Dragonfly Blue. The names of these are amazing. So I'm going to use this one too really quickly because I kind of didn't get my edges. So I'm going to make sure I get my edges really good. And if it's too harsh, I'm just going to add a little bit of water and kind of move it. That is the prettiest color ever. It's so pretty. It's almost like the dark teal. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to add a little bit there. And once again, get those really pretty splatters that we love so much. That's like one of my favorite things. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side to dry, and we're going to work on getting our stamps. 1 second, y'all. I'm popping it in front of my air conditioner unit so that hopefully it will dry it a little bit quicker, so I don't have to break out my heat tool. Okay, let me move this to the side really quickly. Okay, now we were challenged, like I said, to use the stamps in a different way. So I used a couple different ones. This is the bird stamp set, and I kept the, let's see, I think this has the barcode on it, yeah. I kept a little barcode. This is the birds one, and the item number is 980528. But I keep them all in this baggie because it's just easier for me to store that way. I'm really bad about ripping up the packaging. I also used the Catrina stamp set, and what I did is I just used the flowers, because if you'll look, like there's some really pretty flowers on her, which I wanted to use. So that's what we're gonna do, okay? I took some Stays-On ink. You'll definitely need some Stays-On if you're going to stamp on acetate or acrylic, because otherwise it's going to smear off. And what I did is I took this out of another stamp set. I think it was a Julie Nutting one. I just take that excess piece of acetate from my stamp sets, and that's what I use to do this, okay? So I'm just going to use some Stays-On, and I did these all ahead of time and cut them out so I didn't have to do it on camera, but I wanted to show you the process just in case. I know a lot of you hate fussy cutting, so you know, you don't have to do this, but the good thing about acetate is, like, you could just stamp it. I'm just going to put it right on there, and I don't ever use a block. I just use my fingers. I know I probably should use a block. I'd get a cleaner impression, but I just use my fingers because I'm lazy like that. Okay, there we go. So you can see we got like that part too, but we're not going to use, it's kind of hard to show. We got kind of part of her face, but we're not going to use that, so it's no big deal. So I did a bunch of these ahead of time, so I'm going to set her to the side for now. And I let this dry for a while, and then I went in with my scissors. And if you hate fussy cutting, this is kind of a really cool way, because you don't have to be precise at all. Like, just cut around it really quickly because it's see-through, so nobody is going to see any mistakes you made. You don't have to be as careful as when you're doing it on paper, okay? So I'm doing this extremely roughly, trying not to smear my ink, okay? So that took like 2 seconds, okay? And that is all I did. And I did quite a few of these ahead of time. Let me move this really quickly and move that one so I don't use it since it's wet. But I did just a few different ones ahead of time. Some of them I got a larger impression, other ones I got smaller, so I just did a little handful ahead of time. Again, using the scrap packaging that comes in it. I don't like to waste, so that's what I did. And then I took some more scrap pieces of paper. I fussy cut a few of these roses out from the, oh my goodness, Garden Fable. How could I forget that? It's like my favorite line ever. But I fussy cut a few of these roses out, so I'm not going to show you that. But I also use these birds stamps to stamp, and this is one of my favorite things to do. A lot of the new Prima stamp sets come with matching dies, which is super cool. I mean, I thought that was a really cool feature. But I did a snow globe gumball machine, and everybody was like, oh cool, you use the dies. And I'm like, yeah, but I really didn't. I just fussy cut them out. It's just nature for me. I fussy cut. So even though the dies were already there, I went ahead and fussy cut it. I don't know. That's just my thing. I like to fussy cut. Alright, so I took these stamps right here, which I just love these flowers. I think they're so pretty. They're so, so pretty. Thank you, Carrie. I forgot to mention Catrina's stamp set number. Once I get going, sometimes it's really hard. And I like to make sure where my bloom is kind of on a nice section, like where there's a pretty flower, without, you know, wasting the whole sheet. I don't want to stamp it in the middle. I try to use the edges as much as possible. Okay, so I just stamped it like that. Hopefully y'all can see that. Stop moving it. Okay, and I'll cut one out just to show you. It's really quick and easy, y'all. There's really nothing to it. I know you guys, some of y'all hate fussy cutting, but some of us really enjoy it, and I'm definitely one of those. Okay. So I'm going to fussy cut this last one out, and I have the rest of them prepped. So we'll just be tucking these in and out. And I only used one other kind of flower, and it's from the Something Blue collection. It's an older set of flowers, but it's so pretty. So, and did you guys see, I'm pretty sure it was on the blog before I say it, that Prima is re-releasing those gorgeous stemmed flowers that have been so highly requested. So it's pretty awesome that they listened and decided to re-release them. So those beautiful stemmed flowers are coming back, which is pretty awesome. Okay, I need something to stamp my sentiment here, which is Let the Wind Carry You. I think I used a different piece of the Pixie Blend paper. Let me grab it really quickly. I used that one right there. Sometimes it's hard to remember which ones I used. And of course I cut the item number off, but I've got it over here. It's 843229. It's a 12 by 12 sheet of the Pixie Blend paper. So I'm just going to ink the stamp. Again, I should probably use a block, but I don't. And I'm going to make this into a banner, so I need a straight edge like that. I'm going to press that side, press the middle, and then just press the other one with my thumb because I didn't use, yay, sometimes it comes out awful. I can live with that. Okay, so that's it for stamping. I'm going to put these back in their bag really quickly because I got the rest of them all stamped and ready to go right here. Did that ahead of time because I knew nobody wanted to see me fussy cutting or stamping over and over. I tried to prep as much as I could, and I also fussy cut some pieces out of the Pixie Blend collections. I used 3 of those papers. I used the 843229, the 843168, and the 84319 paper. It was 3 of those. And I fussy cut just different little, you know, sprigs off of there. Y'all know how beautiful that collection is. So I just cut the little berries and stuff out, okay? So I'm gonna set that to the side. And we're just gonna cut our little banner out here. And I free-handed it. I'll go ahead and sloppily cut it first. And then I'll try to come in and do it a little bit better. All right. Probably should use a paper cutter for this because I'm probably going way crooked. But yeah, we're just gonna roll with it. I cannot cut a straight line to save my life. I don't know what I would do without my paper cutter. For those of you who can, I applaud you, but I'm not one of those. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut my little fishtail ends there for my banner. Okay, so that's what we've got there. It just says let the wind carry you, and it's uneven down here, which is okay because we're gonna distress it anyway. So it really doesn't have to be perfect anyway. That's what I love about the distressing, is it really hides a multitude of mistakes, okay? I don't see my Prima distress tool right in front of me, so I'm just going to use the edge of these scissors really quickly to do so. I always use my Prima distress tool, but I forgot to get it out. Alright, let me look and see if I have missed any questions. Is anybody... I have the new trims actually on my desk here. Let me grab those really quickly so y'all can see those while I am doing some of this. They are so amazing. Oh, let me reach over and grab them. So these are the new trims, and they are absolutely gorgeous. This one is my favorite. I use that one on my snow globe. It's so pretty. You get 15 yards, so it's pretty awesome. It's a big thing of it. This one's huge. This one's 15 yards too. So anyway, those are the new trims. I just happened to see her say that. So, and they were on my desk, so thought I'd show y'all really quickly. Okay. Alright, got my banner ready. Let's see, what else do I need to prep before I grab? I have a mold here. Alright, I used one of the IOD molds, which I've been using on every single project. And a little tip I have for y'all is, I know a lot of people have been having issues with them cracking. I just haven't had that issue. I don't know. I take them out when they're wet now, and you can see this is not perfectly flat. It is definitely bowed up, but that it won't crack that way, if that makes sense. If you take it out while it's wet and you let it kind of, you know, make the shape it wants, it won't crack. I hope that helps, and I hope that makes sense. But what I do is I will take a whole pack of the IOD clay, and I will just make a ton of these. I will just make a ton at once. So when I'm doing a project, all I have to do is come over here and grab out of here and grab one that I want to use. So that's just another tip I wanted to share with y'all, because it makes it easy. Nobody wants to, like, if you need an embellishment, you don't want to have to make it and wait on it to, you know, finish drying. So I just make a ton at once, and it's really, really easy. Okay, so to color this, I'm going to use some of the Artisan powder, and I'm going to use number 8. Let me see if I can look here and see it. 991207. Okay, and I also have, and this is, you guys are gonna crack up, and Carrie, you're probably gonna kill me for showing this, but I got a sample of some of the new Artisan powder. It's the Black Tulip. I don't know if it's Pixie Dust or Black Tulip. Either one. It's one of the new Artisan powders, but I could not get it open, so I had to, like, just punch into it with a metal tool, and I'm going to use some of it because it's really pretty, but it just was giving me grief. So you can see just how easy these are to color with that Artisan powder. I mean, that took all of like 2 seconds. I love this Artisan powder for coloring my paper clay embellishments. It's perfect. And this is pretty much the same color as the alcohol ink I always use, so I've been trying to use it instead of the alcohol ink. So I'm going to go back over some parts on my plaque with this too. And you can see, like, this stuff stretches a long way. Like, I am hardly using any at all, and it really stretches. Just make sure you get your edges really good, because sometimes I forget those. Okay, so I colored that bad boy in like 10 seconds. Done. Okay, and it looks like you just squirted it with alcohol ink, and you could spritz it with water and, you know, it would spread even further, but we're not going to. I'm going to add, what I did here, I wanted to attach some chain to it. You can see on the original how I did that. I attached chain to the mold. The mold's kind of hidden in here, so you might not see it, but it's in there. So to attach the chain, what I did is I just took my scissors and I just kind of poked a hole through my clay. I didn't do it when it was wet, I did it when it was dry, and just poked a hole in both sides here so I could put little jump rings, okay? I'm going to use some of the Vintage Rose Metallique acrylic paint. This is such a beautiful color, it's so pretty. And the item number is 963200. I love this color. And I'm just going to go around, I was going to use this end. That probably wouldn't have worked, Miranda. I'm just going to use this end and just randomly go on here. This paint is so pretty that, I mean, it's amazing. And you think you're getting such a small little pot of it, but I am telling you, I've had these for a while now, and I like not even put a dent in them. Okay, so I'm going over the whole thing, kind of rubbing off a little bit, and it dries super quick on these paper clay embellishments. So we've got like a vintage brown and pink toned piece now, and we're going to go ahead and attach our chain to it. Okay, let's see here. I think I cut my pieces ahead of time. Yet. And I have been making my own jump rings lately. So I ran out. So what I did was I grabbed some of these wire threads from Prima. And this is the bubblegum color, and the item number is 572099. And all I'm doing, I don't want to use these scissors, but if I don't have any more, my Timmy ones. I try not to use my good fussy cutting scissors on that. Okay, because this is like a wired, pretty trim. So I'm just going to cut it in half, and I'm just going to make 2 little loops in my chain. Okay, so I have a longer one and a smaller one. Okay, so I'm going to put the longer one in the back and then the smaller one like that. So I've just got it on there just like that. And I have just found this so much easier than trying to use pliers and jump rings. I don't know. I just prefer this method. So I just go in my little hole that I made, twist it up, pull it really tightly into the back, okay? And then I'm just going to give it like 2 little twists there at the end. Yeah, it was stuck, Carrie. Thank you. It's not black tulip. Definitely not black tulip. It said it, but it wasn't. But yeah, nobody could get theirs open. At first I thought it was me, and I wasn't going to dare say I can't get mine open. I was not going to be that girl. So I waited until I think Tiffany or Robbie, maybe it was you, I don't remember, somebody said it first. And I was like, oh, thank you, because I couldn't get mine open either. But I'll show you where I put mine because I was determined to get that stuff out. I had to use it. It's a green color, so maybe it is the pixie one, the pixie dust one. It's really pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to drape it over to this one, and we're going to create like a little tassel there. Okay. So again, just using this, and I just think I like this way better than jump rings because I really have issues with jump rings. I don't know why, but they don't like me, okay? They just don't. And I can't get them to ever bend right, and that was just way quicker for me, and I have my little embellishment ready to go now. Okay, so we just made little holes over here, and you can just, it's pink, so it just fits right in with your little embellishment. Okay, let me grab our tray and see if it's dry enough to go ahead and start adding our embellishments. I'm going to heat set it for just a second. It's drying pretty good, but we want it to dry a little more. So I'm going to heat set it with my big paint stripper. You guys don't laugh at me. The bloom sprays do dry very, very quickly. It's the I think it's the chalkboard paint that's not drying as quick. And you don't want to put your heat tool on the bristles of your paintbrush because it will melt them. Great, that is a great tip. That is awesome, thank you. Perfect. I mean, I have some that dry perfectly straight and I have no issues with it, but some of them just don't. And I got tired of trying to make them perfect, so I just took them out and let them curl, but that is a great idea. I'll try that for sure. French sage. Carrie, is that the name of the powder I have? I guess it is green. That's the powder, the new Artisan powder right there in one of these trays. So yeah, I guess it is a French sage color. All right, I'm going to use a darker color alcohol ink. I kind of have to, y'all. I'm sorry. It's just my process. I said I wasn't going to, but I guess I lied. I'm sorry. But I have to. If I can get it open, it's like telling me, no, you're not. It's really hard to open right now. I really like the Empress Gold and the tea stain, but I don't have a darker color bloom. Hold on one second, y'all. This one's not opening. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol ink, and it's darker than the one I originally used, but that's okay. Alright, so I'm spritzing all over with water first, always, before I use alcohol ink, because I want it to spread like as soon as it hits like that. I said I wasn't going to, y'all. I know, I'm sorry. But I think that alcohol ink really helps the damask stencil to show up good too. It really helps. That's my excuse anyway. And we'll have a nice variation of like that dark, almost blackish brown to like this one. So it'll look nice together. And the Artisan powder I'm going to put on top of it too. Alright, I had to. It was just missing something. It needed the alcohol ink. I'll even go in on my bristles with it. I'm going to convince Prima to make their version of alcohol ink before it's all said and done, I promise. I'm trying so hard. Okay, because I think that's like the only non-Prima thing that I use on a regular basis. Everything else is always the Prima stuff. Alright, so that looks pretty dark now, but once we get our embellishments on there and it dries a little bit, it will tone down. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay, but I'm happy with that being that dark. Okay, so let me heat it one more time, y'all, with the heat tool. Make sure I get all the excess water really quickly. Okay, one more quick dry, y'all. Let's see how we're doing on time. We're gonna be okay. We might be a little bit over, not too bad. I found the paint stripper. Yes, y'all, he hid it in the bottom of one of his cabinets. Yes, he hid it from me. He wanted it back, and I was like, no, sir, this is mine. He hid it from me. He swore he had no clue where it was, and then one day he was at home, and I just was like, I'm going to find it out there. I know it. And I went digging and digging, and at the end of the day, I found it in the bottom of one of his cabinets. And he still says he doesn't know how it got there. Like, Chris will deny it until the end. He will never admit it. Okay. That is good enough for me. It's still a little bit wet, but you know what? That's okay. We're just going to have to deal with it. Alright, now we're going to go in with our... You know what? Before we even do any of that, let's just go ahead and add all of our elements, and then I can decide where color is missing from. How about that? Am I going to need this gesso? Yes. So I'm going to prop this up a little bit closer to y'all so you can see what I'm doing. And I did use 3D matte gel on the original one as my adhesive. It's became my go-to adhesive. It's all I will use. I know you're going to be like, whoa, she's not using hot glue. And I have it on standby just in case. But the 3D matte gel is so strong, y'all, but I'm out of it. So I'm using 3D gloss gel, which is basically the same. It's just glossy. So this number is 961381. The item number for the 3D matte gel is 961398. But they're pretty much the same, okay? And they are a heavy-duty adhesive. Let me get this one sitting here so I can see how I did this, okay? I'm going to try my best to do this exactly the same, but when you have a bunch of fussy cut elements, sometimes it's hard. Let me get them all up here, though. I wish you guys could see the messes that I have when the show is over. I'll just take a picture tonight and show y'all. It's just like, whoa. And Ray, since you're on here today, I was just looking at your crafty space today on the Swirly Doos forums, and I love it. Awesome. You have so many clip it ups. I don't have a single one, and you're making me want them. All right, I'm going to start with my transparent stamps from the Catrina stamp set, and I'm just going to add, and I'm going to use my fingers. I've gotten really messy like that these days. Okay, and I am going to adhere it to the bottom of the paintbrush, so I hope that's making sense. And it gets kind of tricky to get it to stay on there. Hopefully it won't get tricky tonight while I'm live, but we'll see. I'll hold it for a second. And I love with this 3D matte gel or 3D gloss gel, it really does hold it pretty quickly. It grabs it pretty quick, which is great because I hate, that's why I usually use hot glues, because I hate waiting on things to dry. But with this, it pretty much grabs it really quickly. So I am now part of the 3D matte gel fan club. Alright, so I'm just adhering that one there like that, okay? And I'm just going to I'm not even going to pay attention to the original one and try to do it the same. I'm just going to do my own thing here. I'm not even going to worry about it. Doesn't have to be exact. And I'm using my fingers again, just kind of tucking it under the bristles here. It's still pretty wet right there, so I might have some issues, but we'll see. And I like the 3D matte gel because even if the glue shows, it's matte. And I'll usually use a paintbrush to get any excess that's seeping out. But with the matte, it dries really, you know, it's clear and it's not glossy, so you really can't tell it's there. I guess that's why I favor it over the 3D gloss gel. Alright, that one's not wanting to stay, but we're just going to let it do its thing because we are. Alright, we're going to go up top now. Let me grab a double flower. And we're going to kind of tuck this one around the paintbrush like that. So let me see where I need my adhesive. I'm only going to put it where I need it, which is kind of on these little areas. We've got some showing, which is no big deal. When it's all said and done and we've got the paint on there and the other elements, you won't be able to tell. Once it's dry anyway. Alright, so we're just kind of going all the way up and down the paintbrush with those clear acetate flowers, which is really cool, I think. I just like it. I think I'm only going to add maybe these two over here on the edge. Let's do it this way because they're kind of curling up. And we'll kind of have them coming off the edge. And they're going to get covered up a lot with the other flowers, so we can just put some glue right there like that and not even worry about it showing. Okay, hopefully, am I on frame, y'all? Tiffany, you made it! Hello, Tiffany. I looked up just in time. Okay, let me see what we're going with next. Let's go in with some of our fussy cut debutante flowers, which I just love these. I keep saying debutante, but it's Garden Fable. Garden Fable is just by far one of my favorite collections ever. I love Garden Fable so much. I'm going to add that one. There's some glue right there. So I'm just going to dip a little bit more and just kind of put that one right there with those flowers. This one I'm going to kind of use to cover up that glue spot. And I like to leave some glue on my finger. I think I got this from Finnabair because then you can just keep going in with it. Alright, let's add one. Let's see, I don't want it to be like on top of the paintbrush, glued on top, but I want this part to come on top. So glue right here. I'm going to kind of tuck it under and let that kind of rest on top. Thank you to everyone who made it tonight. I know I haven't been able to look at everybody's names. And it's like I know everybody, but the usernames confuse me. I have the worst memory. Drives me nuts. I wish I had a better memory, but I do. Alright, so we're just adding some of these flowers on there. And when we're done with the whole composition, we'll go in and, you know, we can add some more. But for now, I'm only going to add those three. And I even have some little leaves. We'll go ahead and add a leaf or two just for fun. Okay. That one we'll kind of put up there. Like that. Or will we? No, we won't. Take that back. It's going to go right here. Okay, let me grab one more leaf. I'm going to kind of tuck it down at the bottom. Okay. Then I usually just scrape the excess back into my jar and wipe my hand off. Alright, now we're going, and I'm working upside down here, y'all, so if I'm not like spot on, excuse me, but it's hard to work upside down. Alright, I'm going to start using my little stamped flowers that we did on the Garden Fable paper from the Bloom Bird collection. So I'm going to start tucking those in and out. Let's see. I like these ones because they have like a rose on one part, and I just think it's so pretty. So I'm going to kind of have that one going down here, just barely tucking out. So I'll add glue to the stem and at the tip of the base. And after everything is dry, you can kind of go in and fluff everything up and kind of give it a little bend, and it really helps it to look 3D and really dimensional. I'm not liking the way that one's looking there. I don't know why. Let's see. There. Better. Okay. Let's add a few more of those. Let's add one up here. And this one we're going to put just right across there because it's going to get covered up with the mold anyway. I'm going to grab a few of the smaller ones now and do the same thing. I keep the stems because I use those to glue a lot of the times. I'll just kind of push those under and use my paintbrush back to push it up. Sometimes it takes a minute to get tacky, and that's okay. Alright, let's start adding some more of our embellishments, and then we can go from there. Let's add our beautiful little molded piece here from the IOD molds. 1 second, my chat disappeared. I think I hit we have a touch screen computer, so I think I touched it. Alright, so I'm going to add a pretty good amount of this to the back of the paper clay piece because I really don't want it going anywhere. So I'm going to add it. Make sure my chain's not stuck in the back. I'm going to add it right there, halfway on the wood and halfway down. Okay. Give it a nice push and get any excess glue out of the way. Okay, so here is what we've got so far. Anybody has any questions so far? Yeah, it's definitely, you don't see the acetate until, you know, you're really looking at it. We're going to do some splattering at the end, which will let it show up a little bit more. But it's definitely, you know, pretty well concealed. Alright, we're going to add a gear up here, which I used a few different ones on the original piece, but I love the new mechanicals, so we're going to use those. So I'm going to add some of this on the back of here. Sorry, I'm going off camera. I'm just adding some adhesive. I think it needs a little bit more. I don't want it to move while I'm filming. You guys should be so proud of me. I have not touched my hot glue gun tonight. I'm planning on gifting this out, so I didn't want to use hot glue too. Okay, so we've got that up there. Let's see. On the original one, I used a resin butterfly, and I have those in my stash right now, but I really wanted to use something different again. Don't kill me, y'all. But one of the new mechanicals butterflies, they're so beautiful. I just couldn't help it. These are just so beautiful. And this one is so small, so I just decided we were going to use it. Let me paint him blue really quickly. Actually, let's paint him white. I think he'd look better white. So I'm going to go over the metal with white gesso. And the item number for that is 961442. I should know that by heart because I use it every day on everything. Okay, so I am just brushing some quick gesso on my little butterfly. I love these metal butterflies. They're so pretty. And the smallest one is my favorite. I think it's more dainty. The other ones are a little more steampunk, but this one is just a little cuter, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, so quick gesso. It's seeping out the back. Let me get my paper towel here. And it's kind of filling in the holes, but that's no big deal. We can fix that later. Alright, so I'm going to add this one to the top of my little paper mold. Right there in the center. And we're going to give it a crown, which I used the Regal stamp set. Let me see if I have that item number. handy really quickly. I pulled these up at the beginning. Let's see here. Royal stamp set, not Regal. It's 980658. And the only one I used out of it was this. This is from the Creating in Faith line. And it's got like the banners and stuff, but I used the crown because I wanted my little butterfly to have a crown. So that's the only one I used out of that Royal stamp set, but I listed it anyway. And I'm kind of curving it with my finger so it has some dimension, you know. And then I'm just going to kind of tuck the bottom part down so I can glue it. Okay. Again, using the 3D gloss gel. It's my go-to tonight. Does Tiffany have company over? I feel for you if you do. I just got done having Chris's entire family and friends in town, so, which is fun. It's super fun, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you're just ready to like have a break, and I definitely was. All right, I'm just making sure this is straight because I am doing this upside down and I didn't want it to be crooked. Alright, so we've got our little crown there on top of our royal butterfly. Okay, I'm going to add a few more mechanicals here and there. Let's see if I added those to my list. Sometimes I use so many small things from like Junkyard Findings and the mechanicals that I forget to list them in my supply list, John. I'm very sorry, but it's just Junkyard Findings and mechanicals. I just use a ton of them. So I'm going to add a few here and there, just randomly. I keep them, once I open a package, I kind of put them in these clear bins. So it's really easy for me to lose track of the SKU number if I don't keep up with it. I try to write it down or look on the Prima site, but sometimes I just forget to. All right, so I'm adding a few of those here and there. All right, now we're going to break out our flowers, which are these right here. These are, like I said, from the Something Blue collection, which is so beautiful. These are just timeless flowers. And the item number is 575335, and these are called Best Man. Okay, so I'm going to take these out really quickly. Okay, let me move some of the stuff out of the way. Oh my goodness, I swear I just like cage myself in. I think I'm using only the smaller ones, and I just pull them right off of the little bundle. Let's see, pink, tan, blue, pink, tan, blue, another pink one. I'm trying to go by what I used on the original one. And let's use a black one just for fun. Okay. So I might have to turn it my way really quickly, y'all, to do the flowers. Sorry, but it's hard for me to do that. And I'm going to leave the leaves on because I'm just not going to make Carrie hate me tonight. So we're going to leave the leaves on. Alright, sometimes in packaging they can get a little misshapen. It's so quick and easy to just like fluff them right back out. I've never had a problem doing that. And I usually bend mine to fit what I want anyway, okay? So this one I'm going to tuck in right down here in this corner. Adding some more 3D gloss gel, and I'm going to lift up that one that the fussy cut one, and put that one there. Okay, just like that. We're going to add some of these Pixie Glen sprigs. So I'm going to cut a little bit off there. Let's see, I got off camera again. We're going to add a few of these little sprigs coming out randomly here at the bottom. And then we're going to use some of the bigger ones here at top. Right there. Alright, so let me add my glue. When you're dealing with little delicate fussy cut pieces like this, sometimes it's really hard to glue them right, but hopefully this will be okay. Kind of making my other one fall, but that's okay because I can pick him back up hopefully. Let's just have him sit on the edge here. How about that little guy? Okay, so let me turn it your way again really quickly. So I'm just tucking in those little vines from the Pixie Glen and some more flowers here and there. Okay, let me grab my clock piece before I add my last flowers. We're almost done, y'all. Pretty much on time today. Okay, these are the Junkyard Findings clock faces. I always use these. They're just my favorite. Item numbers 891596, and I'm going to use, let's see, one of the medium-sized ones. And this is like the only one I don't try to take care of the packaging on, because I like to just cut a single one out at a time. I don't know. Some of the packaging I saved. I have so much packaging saved. I don't know what I'm going to do with it one day, but something. All right, I'm going to turn this my way for 1 second again, y'all. Okay? Just so I can make sure I'm doing this the right way. If y'all can't see, though, let me know, and I'll turn it around and try to work through it. All right, so I'm adding this right on top of that little acetate flower, but I don't want that one to be underneath it. Okay, so I'm just adding my little clock piece here. I'm going to add another little mechanical to the top of it, and this one's bigger than the one I originally used, but that's okay. These are those jeans buttons that I love so much. Okay, now we're going to start adding some flowers around here. First, let me not forget our ribbon. Now, I used a May Art silk ribbon on the original one, but I don't have any more of that left, so I'm just using this wired satin ribbon. And the main reason I used this ribbon was to give myself something to kind of adhere everything to over here in the corner. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. I really like wired ribbons though, because I feel like I can fluff them up and make them look a lot prettier. The clock faces are amazing. They are just like an all-time favorite. I hoard those bad boys like no tomorrow. That might be my last package. I don't know. I don't want to know. I will not look. I'm doing a fishtail cut, and that one was way sloppy, so just ignore that. Typically, I would use my better scissors instead of my Timmy ones, but okay. Alright, so I'm making a little bow here so that I can tuck it right down in here, okay? And at first, it's going to look a hot mess, so bear with me. I probably should have used hot glue for that, but we're going to use the gloss gel. I'm going to add a good amount too, alright? Because we're going to tuck this. I'm going to move this one really quickly. And we're going to tuck this right down in here. And at first, it's just going to look really awkward, but once we start adding flowers and stuff, it really starts looking nicer. Okay. Let me move a few of these little items I went ahead and glued too. Okay. Alright, now we're going to add a flower right to the center. We're going to go with one of our tan ones. That one got bent up a little too much for me to fix right now, so let me grab another one. Okay, so I'm using one of the tan flowers. I'm going to glue it right in the center of my bow. And I know it looks a hot mess right now, y'all, but I promise we're going to make it look better. Okay, first off, I'm going to tuck this one behind that acetate flower. That one can go over, but I want it like underneath this clock here. So we're going to move things around for just a second until I get it how I want it. Oopsies, that'll work for me for now. I'll probably end up cutting it much smaller when the show's over, but for now we're gonna roll with that, okay? I can work with ribbon like all day long and never be satisfied with it. I'm gonna use my 10-point scissors really quickly. If I can find, there they are, what I did with them. Alright, there we go. A little bit smaller, and I can work with that a little bit better now. Alright, moving my clock back in place. Okay, there we go. Alright, now we're going to add a few more flowers, and then we're going to go on to our banner and then finishing touches, which is basically we're just going to splatter a bunch of paints, and it's going to be really fun. Really no rhyme or reason to it or technical way to do it. We're just going to splatter a bunch of the acrylic paints. Okay, so I'm just tucking a bunch of little flowers down in here. I've got my little Pixie Glen vine coming out. Okay, let me turn it your way really quickly. So I'm just making a little cluster over there to the side. Okay, I'm going to add a few more of these Pixie Glen vines. I'm going to have one coming out under this leaf over here on this side. I love these little vines. I just think they're so pretty. I'm going to add a few more of the flowers as well because I really like them. Okay, let's see, I think that's it. Now we're going to add our banner, and what I do is I just kind of bend it back and forth in my hand, kind of rippling it so that it's not perfectly straight and it's got some character. If you do this with water, you can really get some character going on there and really wrinkle it up, but it works fine, just try. Okay, so I've got it like that instead of just a straight one. So I'm going to add glue on all of my high points on the back so that everywhere those touch, I have a good little spot for it to adhere to. Okay, and we are going to drape this right across the top here. I'm going to go under there, kind of off the edge, and then up onto my paintbrush. So it's really only connecting in 3 spots, which is fine. There's enough glue there to hold that. Okay, let me see what we've got here. Turn it around, make sure I didn't forget anything, and if I didn't, we're going to do our finishing touches. Let's see here. Sometimes your chain will move around a little bit, but I like it to move. I don't want to glue it in place. It's going to want to go right there for now. Okay. Let me check this side out. I think we're good to go, y'all. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, I'm happy with it. All right, we are going to start doing finishing touches. Let me put up my 3D gloss gel, and this is the fun part. This is just at the end of your project, and you've added everything you're gonna add, and you're gonna go in with your paints. Let me shuffle all these leftover pieces to the side. If anybody has any questions, I can actually look now and not be overwhelmed. First, I'm going to go in with gesso because it's just a habit, and I'm going to kind of gesso all my flowers. Let me brush off on the lid a little bit here. So I'm just going to kind of hit some of these areas with gesso. I like to do the edges of the acetate ones with gesso. I feel like it kind of defines it a little more, kind of makes it pop. So I usually do that, just go around these edges with gesso, just like that, and it really just kind of makes it pop over there. And I've got this upside down for y'all, sorry. I've got it right side for me, but upside down for y'all. So it's really popping over there now. I don't know if I can reach any more of the edges, but I'll try, because they're inside, but it's just something I like to do when I'm using acetate to let it kind of show. And then I'm just going to hit a few more of the flowers and make sure everything's glued. Hit the chain a little bit so it's not all perfect. Okay. Alright. Okay, now we're going to go in with our 2 Metallique paints, and we are going to splatter them all over basically, okay? So I'm taking the Vintage Rose, which is item number 963200. And where did the other little metallic one go? It's disappeared from me. Where'd my blue patina one go? Who knows in this mess? I might have to use the chalkboard paint. Let's see, y'all. Yeah, we're going to have to use it. It's right here in front of me. I bet you guys are saying that. Like, look right in front of you, Miranda. Okay. So we're going to use these. This one's 963248. And the first thing I do is I just go around and highlight. Let me get a different paintbrush. That one's not working too well. Okay. This is when you can really go in and add like finishing detailing touches. Anywhere you need some color, you can kind of go in with these and add that color. This is like your last step. Okay, so I just go in and randomly add some color wherever I want, going down my bristles on my paintbrush. I'll add some on my little butterfly here, even on the ribbon a little bit, on the edges of my banner here, just wherever. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the pink now, and then we're going to splatter them, and it looks really cool on top of the acetate sheets. It looks really cool. You can go on top of your flowers too. I didn't add as many of the stamped flowers on this one, but you get the idea, and I think most of you don't want to fussy cut anyway. Okay. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to add any more paint. I'm going to go right on the lid to these and spray them with some water. Okay, so I'm just going to do like 2 squirts and 2 squirts, okay? And then I'm just going to mix that up right there in the lid. I always use the lids to these instead of like a palette. It's just quicker and easier for me, okay? So this is when you're going to get really messy and it's really fun. Okay, I'm just going to start splattering randomly, okay? And it's going to get on everything, and that's what I want, especially these little acetate flowers over here. That's mainly what I'm aiming for, but if it gets all over, the higher up you go, the smaller the splatters will be. So I kind of do that too. Make sure that's good. Okay, so I'm just going all over with that one. Okay, and since I've got this much left, I usually go in and like add it, you know, to the edges. I don't like to waste any. So I'll just kind of go in and add the rest of the paint here and there. Alright, the rest of that's going to have to get thrown away. Alright, now we're going to go in with our blue. And this is our last step, y'all. Let's see what my time is. 10 minutes over. That's pretty good for me because I'm usually slow. So the same thing, we are just going to tap mainly on top of the little acetate flowers. And then we're going to kind of go up and just splatter all over. And I really just like the artsy effect it gives. You can add a little bit more blue here and there, just whatever you want to do to your taste, I guess. I got that from Robbie, which I think I've been looking for that phrase for forever. I'm like, just do it how you like it, but yeah, do it to your taste. All right, and that is pretty much it, y'all. Let me move this first before I spill it, make a huge mess. Okay, let's see here. Now we'll put them up side by side. So we did a few differences, but pretty close, okay? So here is what we've got. Does anybody have any questions? I'll hold these up for just a second. Yeah, the acetate kind of blends in if you don't splatter them or kind of edge them. I feel like they just kind of get lost. And that's cool to have, you know, more layers and, you know, depth. I added more on the original one, as you can see. More of the acetate, more of the flowers, but you know, it's all the same process. So let's see. Yes, once the gel dries, it is not coming off, and that is why I have switched to using the 3D gel, because it is so strong. Like, I'm almost embarrassed for using hot glue for so long, because like the matte gel works great, and the gloss gel. Okay. Thank you everyone so much for coming out tonight. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and hit stop record really quickly. I hope you guys are loving all of the new releases from Prima that are just amazing. Stay tuned for more amazingness as always from them. And I really appreciate everybody for coming. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next month, I'm doing something super simple. You guys are going to be like, what? It's going to be a really quick one. All right, let me hit stop record.